Welcome to the Reconnection Club podcast, the show that helps parents heal troubled relationships with their adult sons and daughters. I'm your host, psychotherapist Tina Gilbertson. Each week, I'll offer you compassion, clarity, and personal development tips designed to help you reconnect, not only with your child, but with yourself. Now let's get started. Reversing an unwanted estrangement is, in a very particular way, exactly like swimming the English Channel. If you're in England and you want to swim to France for some reason, you'll have to swim the distance that separates them. And that distance is what it is. You can't bring France closer if you're in a hurry to get there. So if you really want to be there soon and you can't change the distance, you'll try to reduce the time it takes to swim there. And although a person can make that swim literally in a single day, what if you've never done that before? Could you personally put on a bathing suit, get into the cold, choppy water, and swim for more than 20 miles? Just like reconnecting after estrangement, swimming the English Channel is not a single action. It's a project consisting of multiple steps and stages. Even if you're already a strong swimmer, what's the very first step you take to swim the English Channel? Well, that depends. Do you have a passport? Or do you need to apply for one? You'll need it when you reach France. Have you swum in open water before? What's the coldest water you've ever swum in? How much have you trained for a long, cold, open water swim? The point is, if you want to swim the Channel from England, the very first step is not to throw yourself into the water and start swimming in the general direction of France. Yet that's exactly what parents do, metaphorically, when they start trying to reconnect by reaching out to their estranged adult child, apologizing for whatever they can think of, offering to go to therapy together, or showing up unannounced to see if they can talk it out. Reconnecting after estrangement is usually a multi-part process. Just like a long-distance swim, the first foundational steps help determine the success of the project. Everything in this podcast and my Reconnecting book and in the Reconnection Club, all of it is designed to help you build a foundation for successfully reconnecting with your adult child or children. If you reach out to them before taking the time necessary for preparation, you might just end up back in England, so to speak, having to start over. It's so understandable to want to skip to the end of the project where you can be together. There's a clock ticking, and it feels as though if you don't reach out right away, you stand to either lose your child forever or miss too many milestones together. I take no pleasure at all in saying that estrangement doesn't care how much of a hurry you may be in to reconcile. Estrangement has its own requirements for healing and repair, and they supersede everything else. And that often includes more time than parents would like. The English Channel also has its own realities. The weather, the tides, the ships and ferries, those too are all on their own schedules. And yet, every year, both swimmers and unwillingly estranged parents manage to close the distance safely. The key is preparation. When you reach out to your adult child to work on your relationship, that's the last step in the project. Just as actually getting in the water and heading for France happens on the very last day of the project of swimming the Channel. Most parents neglect preparation. They forget that their adult child or children may also need time to prepare to reconnect. On the parent side, preparation might mean developing the strength to face whatever it may be that wants to heal and change in the relationship. Approaching healing and change with constructive ideas, self-compassion and patience, and most importantly, and most often overlooked, practicing new behaviors until they become closer to second nature. It takes time, energy, and sometimes assistance to do all of that. If you've decided you want or need to make some changes in the way you interact with your adult child, and you tell yourself or them that you're going to start doing things differently as soon as you're back together, it's like you're saying you'll pivot and change the minute you have to. Imagine a hopeful channel swimmer saying, I understand that the water is cold, but I don't have time to train, or I think I can handle it, so if I start feeling cold, I'm going to just really try to stay warm. The reason channel swimmers train in cold water for months is to get their bodies adapted to the cold. There's no way around that, no substitute for getting into the cold water again and again for longer and longer periods of time. If they don't do that, then on the day of their swim, their bodies will do what most bodies do with prolonged exposure to cold water, which is to become hypothermic. And that will end the attempt. There are no shortcuts when training for a long, difficult, cold water swim. But at the end of training, the body will be changed. It will know what to do and it will function differently than before. The swimmer won't have to try to stay warm enough. The body will take care of itself because it has adapted through training and practice. Similarly, any changes you want to make in your relationship will need to be trained for, and you don't need your adult child for that training. Let me offer an example. Let's say you've been accused of being critical, and so when your child comes back, you plan to avoid any appearance of criticism. How will you make that happen? By paying attention? Walking on eggshells in every interaction? Preparation will help you. When you get a better handle on criticism, even unwitting criticism, through self-care and repeated practice with others and yourself in your self-talk, then when the opportunity arises with your adult child, you won't have to try so hard not to appear critical. Your mouth will know what to do when speaking because of all the change that's already taken place within and around you through practice. As another example, if you're afraid your adult child thinks you're or has accused you of being too needy, when you consciously and consistently work to fill your emotional bucket without involving your child, then there will come a time when you won't have to convince anyone that you don't need something from them. It will be evident in your being. Effective training and preparation change not how you act, but how you are. Just like the swimmer conditioning her body over time, you can condition your heart, mind, and behavior for a successful trek across the distance. So begin at the beginning with preparation, including consistent practice of any new behaviors in other relationships and with yourself if needed. The time you dedicate to training is time you will save on wasted efforts, stymied progress, and failed attempts to reconnect. Once you start down a sensible path that's focused on preparation and training, reconnection still won't necessarily happen in a week or even a month, but you will know then that you are making effective use of your time while you're still in England, so to speak. And when the tides are right and it's swim day, you will have given yourself the best possible chance of making it all the way across and bringing this challenging project finally to an end. For more on the extremely important topic of preparation, review episodes 97 and 98. Those are the first two parts of my 3-part roadmap to reconnection at reconnectionclub.com/97. Until next time, remember that you are a loving, lovable, and still growing human being. So please take good care of yourself. Bye for now. If you've enjoyed this episode of the Reconnection Club podcast, I invite you to check out reconnectionclub.com. The Reconnection Club is for parents at any stage of estrangement from their adult, child, or children. So whether you've just realized there's trouble between you, you've been living with estrangement for years, or you're newly reconciled but still walking on eggshells, the Reconnection Club is your essential resource for information, support, and continued personal growth. With our courses and workshops, expert interviews, monthly Q&A calls, and a friendly, active community, the Reconnection Club is a wonderful place to be for anyone suffering the pain of estrangement from an adult, child, or children. So check it out at reconnectionclub.com.